counter to that, which is that Brahim was quite possibly the player of the game tonight. So Bellingham obviously is a net upgrade over Brahim. But on the other hand, Brahim was not a problem tonight. Like, it's pretty clear that Brahim played a very good game. Not only scoring that goal, I thought he worked really hard. So he replaced Bellingham pretty much perfectly. But yeah, Bellingham is still an upgrade. So that should be an improvement by itself. I don't know what Ancelotti will do with Camavinga. I thought he wasn't the solution tonight to Real Madrid's issues in the midfield. So maybe Ancelotti will go with Modric to start that return leg. I'm curious to see what he'll do, but you take the win. Obviously, I mean, there's no reason to be like really disappointed or down on ourselves after the game. You won the first leg. Atletico need to beat you at the Metropolitano, but on the other hand, it was so close that last chance. It was so like it looked pretty easy from here, but Mbappe unfortunately misplaced the pass and it's still 2-1.
Counter to your counter. You're right, Brahim was great. Now we have Brahim off the bench. Today's bench there were basically no options. I mean, when Endrick came in, I was fine with it. I was just thinking about it though. Like, Endrick comes in for Brahim. It's actually a pretty, when you're up 2-1 at home in the Champions League, it's kind of one of Ancelotti's ballsier subs to take off Brahim and put on an even more attacking player in Endrick. Right. But I mean, like, I was also thinking, like, you look at the bench, who else would you bring on? There was no one left. Alaba and Arda Güler. So we'll have a strengthened bench or a deeper bench against Atletico. You also mentioning Modric starting at the Metropolitano. Look, it was 7 years ago, I think. I just had flashbulb memories of probably one of my favorite and greatest Modric performances ever was against Atletico in the last game at the Calderon in the Champions League. The same game that Benzema did that thing. That Modric performance was like all-timer, hostile environment, crazy atmosphere, and like the guy was playing with like ice in his veins. It was insane. Hopefully we get a throwback to that.
We kind of did tonight. The Brahim goal was we kind of did tonight because I thought the Brahim goal was kind of similar to the Benzema trick. Obviously, Benzema didn't score back then. It was Isco. But the skill inside the box was kind of reminded me a little bit of what Benzema did against Atletico de Madrid. But yeah, about Modric, we'll see. Obviously, that was peak Modric. I think that was pretty close to his Ballon d'Or campaign. So that's prime Luka Modric right there. He's obviously a very different player today in today's day and age. So we'll have to wait and see. I'm not even sure that I would go with that particular substitution or change for the return leg, but we'll see what Ancelotti decides to do. I think that this weekend's game will give us a hint towards for the return leg.
We have, if you guys want to get a quick glimpse, the stadium is empty apart from the Atletico away fans because they are asked to stay longer. So for security purposes, so if you want to get a quick panorama of that.
Yeah, it emptied really quick.
Yeah, sorry for those of you guys who are listening on Spotify and Apple and you're like confused about that moment of silence. We just did a quick camera turnaround of the stadium. So stuff. I think part of our problem in this game for large stretches was that Vinicius and Mbappe, I think, had a pretty poor game overall. Yeah, not controversial. Apart from some of the obvious stuff that they struggled with on the ball, they couldn't really dribble past their man. Mbappe was pretty quiet. Vinny wasn't really having much success with his dribbling. In past years, if Vinny was having a quiet or a bad game, he would still show up for like a moment or two. Didn't today. Almost did at the end, but the Mbappe pass was intercepted. But defensively, I thought it was really easy for Atletico to just play that pass and split them because we weren't pressing. I mean, you made a few comments just under your breath throughout the game. You're like, what is this press? Atletico center backs could just look up and play that pass easily, whether it was to Barrios, to DePaul, to Grizzy. And after that, they were able to just get to their spots. And I think that was a problem. The other problem I would say, Unfortunately, and I don't like to single players out, but I think Camavinga was pretty poor tonight. I feel like we're back to square one with him. Like a lot of the stuff we were saying, like in year 1, year 2 with him, are still relevant. Like he takes players on in the wrong position when he should just be playing a simple pass. He ignores vertical outlets and plays sideways passes in those situations. He takes defensive gambles. I understand where you don't want to blame him for the DePaul goal, or sorry, the Alvarez goal, because it was a great strike, and maybe Camavinga gets unlucky. But I think he also, that's the thing. He took the defensive gamble to try to win the ball, whereas the correct decision would have been to just stay in front of him and not let him cut in at all and not take that defensive gamble. So I think those were maybe, like, if you were to pinpoint some of the stuff that was going wrong, Vinny and Mbappe struggled offensively and in transition. We couldn't take advantage of them. They were not pressing well. And then you had the whole Camavinga thing, making mistakes. And it wasn't just the goal. We conceded a couple dangerous transition attacks. And maybe this is also on the back of a period of Camavinga, which kind of starts in the Clásico and Super Cup against Barca, and then kind of lingers continually with these performances up until now.
It was going to be a big season for him after Kroos' departure, and it hasn't gone really the right way, or the way we expected. He hasn't established himself as an undisputed starter for this team. In fact, Ceballos actually he established himself as such. And it's disappointing. I don't know. I keep having second thoughts on whether or not maybe this is actually his position, or maybe he would be better suited to play the Bellingham / Brahim role as a central midfielder instead of as a pivot, right? I